Hey guys, Pickle here. Want to tell you about our 2018 draft loadout, which is going to be packed full of fantasy football help and knowledge to make you successful at your fantasy football draft as well as in season. You can get your pre-order currently on the Average Joe Nation via our Patreon account. Make sure you sign up there and get yourself pre-ordered. All right, let's get into today's show.
Welcome Average Joe Nation from around the globe. Props to you for staying up to date and keeping in the know. Fantasy football, man, very soon you'll reign. The knowledge that these three guys have, man, it is insane. Fantasy football talk, hateful eight, they wear the crown. Hold it down, Pickle, Blackburn, and Trimboli, hold it down. Pulling up to LB Design Studio, we're getting loud. Season 2, headphones on, red light go, break it down.
Welcome back, guys, to the Hateful Eight Fantasy Football Podcast with your host. I'm Pickle, and with me, as always, Blackburn.
What up?
And Trimboli.
What is up?
All right, this week we discuss some fantasy football news and also bring you guys a new segment to answer some of the listener questions that we receive. And today's topic, though, blind comparisons versus ADP. So it's kind of an interesting when you take the player's flashy name off and you just put raw stats out there. It's kind of hard to argue when you actually see the name of the player that you've got comparison-wise, and you're looking at it and you're like, oh, wow, I would have picked this player. But now that I see that it's this player,
right?
Now that I've seen the name, it puts it. Yep. You're like, oh, wow.
It's all about the name.
It is. Sometimes in fantasy football, people draft just based on name alone. So
that'll get you in trouble.
It will. So, as always, don't forget to follow the show's Facebook and Twitter accounts at the Hateful 8 FF. And you guys got anything else? Nope. All right, let's get into the fantasy news and notes.
Fantasy news and notes.
All right, fantasy news and notes presented by Body Armor Super Drink. Superior hydration for today's athletes. Check them out at drinkbodyarmor.com. All right, near and dear to my heart, the first one out the gate. I think I've got something. Here it is. It is the end of the road for Dez Bryant and the Dallas Cowboys. Per Ian Rappaport. Let me go ahead and fade that out.
No, I like Boys to Men.
I know you're
just keep that rolling.
You're a 90s guy, all 90s. So, but yeah, so Bryant was released officially by the Dallas Cowboys last week, and he had that Friday meeting. We said how many weeks ago? We said once they signed Allen Hurns, it was going to put Dez in a corner, and Dallas ultimately put Dez in a corner, and I think ultimately, like we talked about before the show, that it's just, I think essentially what they wanted to do was limit Dez's availability to other teams when the money pot was full. And now it kind of puts him in not in another corner, but it basically puts him in a box that, yes, he is slated to make $8 million a dead cap against the Cowboys, obviously. But, so somebody could potentially money-wise get him, but I think it kind of still limits because the teams that are wide receiver needy, I don't know if they're going to take a chance on a soon-to-be 29-year-old wide receiver who's had 2 to almost 3 years of production decline. And I'm a Dallas fan, and don't get me wrong, I love Dez, and I love the production when it was there, and even when it wasn't, I'm a Dez Bryant fan. But ultimately, when it comes to the NFL, it's business. And if you're not putting points on the board or yards on the field, the money's going to eventually stop.
Well, I still think he has plenty left in the tank. I just think that, and I said this last year, when Zeke went out, their whole offensive production went down. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to knock Dak Prescott, but I don't think he is the quarterback that Dez needs.
No.
He needs somebody that airs it out. So if he goes to, like, San Francisco with Jimmy G, Giants even could probably use somebody like that. If he'll benefit playing from a quarterback that throws down the field.
Right.
He could even benefit in Baltimore.
Right.
Flacco, known to throw the ball long, so.
Well, and I think you got a good comparison a good layout with him and Crabtree. That I don't think that's a bad matchup. Honestly, I think Crabtree's got his bread and butter of what his type of routes are, and Dez has got the style of play that he is. They're both physical receivers. They both can go score in the red zone, and I think that's a good thing for a quarterback who doesn't tend to throw the ball very far. I mean, Flacco is not a deep ball throwing guy. He's never been one who throws the home run ball. He's more of a check down. A lot of short routes, a lot of underneath routes. Every once in a while, he hits the home run throw.
He can throw it.
He can. He just doesn't choose to for whatever reason.
Because their receivers are garbage.
Well, they're going to have Crabtree and potentially Dez, so we'll see.
They're interested. That'll be a good thing.
For him, it's all volume at least there.
Right. And that's a good thing. I mean, I'm excited to see. I hope it works out for him. I mean, as a Dallas fan, it stinks that it didn't work out, but I ultimately know it's a business decision. You got to make it. And
Yeah.
Dallas did what Dallas is going to do, and they're going to go get a quarter or a wide receiver in the draft, which we all knew was going to probably happen anyways. It's just now they've
DJ Moore.
I would be perfectly happy with that, honestly. I think I would be better.
I think that's in line for it right now.
I would take him over Ridley, but that's just my personal opinion. So, then we got the next one. Chiefs add former Cardinals wide receiver Kerwin, not Sherwin, the paint company, Williams.
Or running back.
I tried to make a joke and forgot my words.
Good start already.
Already good. Running back stable, though, is full, as Blackbird put the notes here. It says Kareem Hunt, Spencer Ware, Kendrick West, and
Damian Williams.
So that's a pretty big group of running backs. That looks like Frank Tremboli over here's
Those kind of look like my team.
his fantasy team. Just load up on that running back stable.
Somebody's getting cut.
Yeah.
We don't know who, but they're not going to carry all these guys.
No, there's no way they can carry all these guys. I mean, I know that guys get injured and it happens. I mean, we've seen it specifically in Kansas City's backfield. We saw Jamal Charles. You saw Spencer Ware get hurt last year, a couple years ago. Like I said, Jamal Charles got hurt. Kendrick West got hurt the one year where he was actually doing pretty well. He ended up having like ankle issues and concussions, stuff like that. So, I mean, it's the wear and tear of the NFL in general. I mean, it's good to have 2 to 3 backs, but not 5, not even 4. I mean, so
Right.
They just want a competitive practice squad team.
I guess playing against the practice squad, I guess they want a good running back. I don't know. Now this one's a good one. Patriots quarterback Tom Brady and tight end Rob Gronkowski did not or will not participate in the voluntary workouts, which is kind of a big deal, more so for Gronk than it is Brady. Brady, I expect him to kind of.
Well, he's 40.
He knows what he's got left in the tank, and the Patriots know what he is.
And he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, he's on vacation right now with his family, for real. Like overseas.
Yeah, good for him. We're all here freezing in the Midwest. Tight end Rob Gronkowski, though, that's a big one because there's still a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, he's still saying he might retire.
He's every other week. It's like one week he's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm playing 2018. The next week, I might be going with the WWE. Sorry, I don't know. I might be in the movies. I don't know. So
he just wants to keep his name in the news.
I don't know.
This is all nothing.
I have heard. I mean, I know we've got the Gronk contemplating retirement was one of them, but I've also heard that there's a potential for a draft day trade for Gronk to somewhere that needs a veteran tight end.
Well, look, I wouldn't trade for him unless I knew 100% that he was going to be playing this year.
Well, I would say this year, next year.
Well, yeah, because you give up it's going to be.
He's got 2 years left on the contract.
It's going to be a decent draft pick that you give up.
Well, yeah. I mean, the name, it's like in fantasy, the name holds enough value that he could get something. He's worth
a stud.
it. He is when he's playing and he's healthy.
Right. So you're going to have to give up that. I wouldn't give up that just for him to say, oh, yeah, well, I retired.
No, but, man, that's a lot of uncertainty. But I think I agree with you that it's going to come down to is he playing for the rest of his contract? If you're trading for him, you need him to play out the next year or two. Or, hey, we're going to trade for you, and then we're going to sign you to an extension, the money that you're wanting, if that's what you're trying to get. Because we all know that the Patriots don't pay their players what they're worth.
What if he just wants out of New England and he just doesn't want to come out and say that?
It might be. I mean, it might be why he's laying under the radar, kind of saying contemplating retirement or contemplating going to the movies or not like going to watch a movie, but like actually being in the movies.
Go watch a movie. That's cool.
I'm contemplating. I might go see a movie. So, this is something, though, I think it's more important that the Rob Gronkowski part of the comment or the post. So, we'll see. Another one, Browns wide receiver Josh Gordon is signed to an exclusive rights, or has signed his exclusive rights tender via the Browns. So that's a big one. Now
that is big.
And it's good for him because I think that shows on both parties. I think that shows that the Browns think he's cleaned up his act and he's going to potentially. Because I would be surprised if they don't sign him somewhere if he's doing well and doing what he's supposed to. I wouldn't be surprised somewhere maybe halfway through 3/4 of the way of the season they don't sign him to like a major extension. Because if he's balling out, you can't let that guy leave.
No.
And he's not gotten enough, as I know the cliche comment, that there's enough tread still on the tires because he's not played.
He's in his mid-20s still.
And he hasn't played a full season.
Yeah, the problem is, are you going to be able to pay Landry and him?
That's the problem. But you also...
The Browns still have like a ton of cap space.
They do, but do you want to wrap it all up in 2 wide receivers? You kind of need that quarterback that is not on the team yet.
It depends on the draft, though.
But it's going to be on a rookie wage scale.
True.
True.
for at least
So
5
just-
years.
Yeah.
Because if it's a first-round pick, it's an automatic 5-year contract. Second round, I think it's a 4-year, and then anything
You can
after
get
it's like a
5th-year
3-year.
option. Yeah. So it's going to be your quarterback. The most money is going to be rookie wage scale for 5 years.
So-
They can afford to have 2 high-priced receivers. In my opinion, because they got Carlos Hyde at running back is only making like $5 million.
True.
All right.
I mean, and the scary thing is the potential with the money that they've got and the money that they're probably not going to spend. I mean, you've got a couple guys coming up here in the next couple years, running backs. I mean, you got guys. I mean, I would not expect guys like Todd Gurley and David Johnson and Ezekiel to go to Cleveland. But I'm saying the bigger name guys, if Bell doesn't get what he's needing and the money's not there, I could see Cleveland kind of throwing out some cash in the next year or two for some of these guys that are going to be coming off their rookie contract, saying, "I'll pay you top dollar. We got the money to throw it out there." But it's a lot of what ifs. But I do like the Josh Gordon being signed. Well, signing the exclusive tender. I think that's a good thing before the season starts, before camp starts and all that. I think that's a good sign on both, I guess, the team and the player.
Hey, there's a good feeling about Cleveland right now. They don't really get that too often.
They're
so.
buzzing right now.
We started this last year with their draft. We were high on their draft. They didn't win a game. But their offseason this year has been great, and they're in prime position again in this year's draft to make some noise.
To win at least one game.
They can.
Hey,
Man, I don't know.
You
They
can't lose. You cannot not. I mean, you can't lose more than every game.
Well, I'm going to say
Just saying.
with the additions they've already made right now, I'm going to say they at least win 3 right now.
I would hope that they win 3,
At least.
but that's just me. I'm thinking. But you already know I'm already on the wild card train. But that's just me by myself.
They could probably creep up to a 500 team.
So
500 might be there.
No, this is a good one. This is one that we've been kind of watching back and forth, and they just couldn't get it to work out. The Broncos ended up releasing C.J. Anderson, so. I mean, they tried to trade him to Miami. They tried to put out feelers for other teams that are running back veteran needing, and they just couldn't find anybody that wanted to pay. Basically, probably didn't want the current contract.
Miami backed out of it, yeah.
So, I mean, Miami's got Frank Gore and Kenyon Drake, and adding, I think, C.J. Anderson kind of muddies the water for all 3 running backs. I think it hurts all 3 of them in their own way, because those are 3 good running backs when healthy, when they're playing, I mean, when they're behind a decent O-line. It's just... I already think that you've got Gore and Kenyon Drake is going to be an interesting situation. And I think if you put C.J. Anderson into the mix, that would have been not good. Not just from fantasy purposes, but
Right.
for NFL team chemistry. I think that's too many big-name guys on one running back group. But it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we've got the draft. He's kind of the same position from a running back position spot as Dez is. The money's gone. There's not a whole lot of big money teams out there that are needing running backs. I mean, the Jets and the Browns both just signed running backs. Crowell to the Jets and Hyde to Cleveland. Those are the 2 biggest dollar amount teams. I'm not saying that somebody couldn't go out like the Giants or somebody to go get him, but I don't know. I think the Giants are still going to go get Saquon Barkley from everything I'm hearing, unless they trade out of that spot.
They would be smart, too. Him or Chubb.
Right. I agree. I think they're going to be a good.
They need something to be excited about, so
They do.
go get yourself a nice explosive running back.
They haven't had one since, in my opinion, like Brandon Jacobs was like the last real decent above average running back. I mean, they had Tiki Barber and those guys, but they weren't like.
Tiki Barber was probably their best
I would say, yeah, I guess I could say that.
in a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
They need something. They need a run game especially if you're going to keep Eli upright and moving the ball down the field for the next 2 to 3 years like they're planning on. So, I mean, my thing is if the Giants don't take a quarterback at 2, does that tell you that they don't think that any of the quarterbacks that are highly touted right now are worth taking?
No, I just think that the possibility of taking Saquon Barkley trumps the idea of a quarterback right now because you still got Eli Manning for 2 years.
And they did improve at least the left side of the offensive line. So
yeah, they got rid of Flowers.
he's potentially moving to right tackle, but they brought in Nate Solder. So.
Right. And you got the name right. It's great. And then
I'm improving.
but yeah, you can't. I mean, I wouldn't pass up on Saquon Barkley. That's a glaring need for them. I know you don't draft on need, but he's one of those once in a generation type running backs, in my opinion. You go out and get him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. So
I'm to be honest with you, I'm more surprised they're not trying to trade out. So
there has been rumors. The Broncos and who are the other
Bills.
teams? And the Bills have been rumored
Bills
to be
have
trading into the top 3.
Yeah, they have 2 first-round picks.
So, and I will tell you that the Jets just traded into the 3rd spot, so I'd have a hard time believing that they would trade out of the 6th to the 3rd to give up what they gave up, which was a lot, just to move back out of the top 3.
Right.
So it's either the Giants or the Browns that they're in talks with. And if the Browns think they can get their quarterback at 4, they may try to sell the farm and get fourth overall and move back farther and get another first-round pick farther back and probably get some more picks as well. So it's a lot of what ifs, and that's why I like the NFL draft. And I know there's a lot of everybody's like, this could happen and this is going to happen.
It's going to be exciting.
There's always the great like structured plans, and then draft day starts, and then all of anarchy and chaos ensues, and it's trading guys and trading this, and you're just like, holy cow, they just gave away all this, and there's players added into trades, and so draft day is always fun, especially the opening night. So, but the final point on this comp with C.J. Anderson being released is Devontae Booker now officially becomes the primary ball carrier in Denver. When we just talked about that you made that point last week about him potentially being the main ball carrier. So as long as the Broncos don't go out and bring in a big name or draft a top talented running back, I see Booker being the guy, like you said, and his ADP right now was in the 12th round. Yeah. So,
I mean, like I said, his value is going up, but I think they're going to draft a running back, so it could still hurt him.
So we'll see. So some other notable signings that we had were the Eagles release Daryl Worley after the DUI, weapons and disorderly conduct charges after they just traded for him.
Right.
Through the Torrey Smith trade.
Right.
That was a good trade. Starting off the year well. Rams.
Wasn't he at the practice facility or something too?
Yeah. He was in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good. Good time. Smart.
At least he was on time for work.
Got to get there on time, I guess. Aaron Donald, then you got not expected to be the Rams offseason program. Not a big deal. He's the guy. He's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy. LaMarcus Joyner did sign his franchise tag, which is good for them as well for the Rams. And then ex-Steeler, I mean, he did play for the Bengals. He did play for the Patriots. But ex-Steeler, to me, he's a Steeler.
Always.
But retires after 15 years, James Harrison. That's a big one. 39 years old. I mean, but still, the guy's workout regimen, even last year, was ridiculous. The type of weights that he's just lifting. I mean, he might as well
see him push that sled around with a ton? Literally a ton of weight.
He's something else.
He's a workout warrior, as they would say. But I'm glad to see that he retired finally. I mean, while he's still able to get up and move around and all that good stuff, I think that's a good thing because sometimes you see these players bail out eventually too late, and they're like physically worn down and broken, and they're just like they can't even enjoy their retirement. So good for him. But who knows? He may actually come back at some point if if the Steelers or somebody gets into a Super Bowl. He might try to come back and win one. But
let me get that ring.
Right. So another linebacker, Ezekiel Ansah. Is that how we say it? Ansah?
Sure.
Ansah.
Detroit Lions linebacker will sign his franchise tag and eventually participate in the voluntary workouts, which is good for the Detroit Lion defense because he is their best defensive line guy, or rush guy, I would say. Vikings did extend Eric Kendricks, which is a big one.
It is big for them.
That's a good thing. It locks up a good linebacker for the next 5 years, which is definitely a good thing for them if they're continue to try to build that defense.
Well, now they got. The problem is they signed Kirk Cousins for that huge deal. Mm-hmm. So now they got to try to find out money next year to sign Xavier Rhodes and Anthony Barr.
You got to get Rhodes signed.
Rhodes is more
Barr
important.
too. They're both Pro Bowl players.
True. I just think that Rhodes is that defensive star for them. I think you'd see more of a difference or a drop off.
And Harrison Smith's going to be coming up for a contract too.
See, this is I hate to say it, but unless they're in the Super Bowl again or Super Bowl this year, I just have a hard time thinking their window is going to close quick for that defense at least. That's a lot of big names to try to sign.
There's going to be a lot of reconstruction contracts going on.
They'll work it out. They got to score more points if that's what it's going to be.
Well, I think that's what
guys.
I think that's what they did.
So.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Because last year, they got to the NFC Championship game, but if you look at their scores, they weren't scoring that many points. It was their defense that was carrying them. Now they can score points, I think.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a little bit better on offense, firepower-wise. So, but it's good for Eric Kendricks and the Vikings to get that locked in before training camp and all that.
Yes.
And then for Blackburn's team, the Washington Redskins did exercise the fifth-year option on guard Brandon Sheriff.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Sheriff.
Beast. I love the big uglies.
There you go. It's a good thing. That's a good thing because he's been a good guard for them, and I think that's a good thing to kind of solidify those positions. So
I'm glad Blackburn's happy.
It is. It's a good thing when he's happy. So, all right, we've got our next segment of the day. I'll give credit to the Blackburn came up with it, and it's called "Take It or Leave It." So it's a listener question. So let's get into that.
Take it or leave it.
All right. Take it or leave it. This is the new segment Blackburn actually created, named for our listener questions. So the first one we're going to have out the gate, we'll kind of just bounce off our answers, and we'll just go from there. But first one's going to be from a couple guys from the SleeperBot app. It's going to be Boss Up. And his question, he's got a two-part question. So the first part of the question is, highest likely to bounce back. And he says Cooper Evans and T.Y. So I'm assuming it's Amari Cooper, not Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans, and T.Y. Hilton. So who, I think we were all in agreement when we saw this as to who we think's the immediate obvious choice, which is
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans. However, I did put a note just for purposes. I think T.Y. Hilton, if Luck was 100% healthy, or at least healthy enough to play, I think T.Y. could potentially be, I wouldn't say eye to eye, but I think he could become that comeback player or bounce back player of the year for between the three. But ultimately, just what we're looking at the moment, I think Evans is the obvious choice, just because I just think he is the higher ceiling in my opinion.
They just had a down year last year. Across the board, all the Tampa Bay guys had a down year, minus Cameron Brate.
Right, yep. Which I just remembered. Winston's fifth-year option was exercised today, so the Bucs did exercise that fifth-year option.
There you go.
Boom.
So whether for good or for bad. All right, on to the next part of the question. It says, also, everyone is talking about all these younger running back or stud running backs. Who are the old reliables, which he put as the age 30-plus, and said that will continue to produce despite their age? Now, you've got a couple of the players, so just give a couple of the guys that we had in this group of players that are like in the 30 to 30 up.
Well, there's two that are will turn 30 during the year, and that's Shady McCoy and Bilal Powell.
Right.
And then the 30-plus already are Marshawn Lynch, LeGarrette Blount, DeMarco Murray, Jonathan Stewart, Adrian Peterson, and Frank Gore. I mean, and out of that whole list, I think we're all in agreement here. It's got to be Shady.
Right.
Yeah.
I think.
Mainly because he's the sole running back. Like, if you look at these other guys, Marshawn Lynch, committee. LeGarrette Blount, committee. Frank Gore, committee. DeMarco Murray and Adrian Peterson aren't even on the team. Right. And then Jonathan Stewart's kind of in a committee with New York.
Yeah, well, he's going to be in some fashion. Eventually, when they draft a running back, if they draft Barkley or whatever, that would put him in a committee. So, at the moment, Jonathan Stewart still is. If I had to put somebody worthwhile at the current moment, I honestly think not named LaShawn McCoy. I think Jonathan Stewart at the current moment, because he's the only one that doesn't have to fight off anybody. Let's be honest. He's got his own way of doing things, and the guys that they've got on there, the backups, are not of the same style of play that he is. LeGarrette Blount, in my opinion, with J.I. is a different. That's a whole nother ball game. That's I don't think LeGarrette Blount's going to be. I guess him and a J.I. they're going to continue what they did last year. I think same style, so it's going to be a.
Well, LeGarrette Blount's in Detroit now.
Did I just do that? Oh my gosh. Okay, Detroit in a even worse committee, talent-wise.
Yeah.
That is even awful. That is awful. That is my.
Because he's not going to catch the ball, and that's what they're going to do is throw it. So
that's your bull.
You know what? There it is.
No, it's got to be your bull.
That was my bad. All right. So
don't do it again.
Don't do it again.
I did that last year a few times.
It's all right.
It happens.
It happens.
I like Frank Gore, to be honest. I mean, he's 34 years old, but, he's old, reliable. Kenyon Drake's going to get the majority of the ball touches, but I think when he gets down to that goal line, Frank Gore, he's good for 8 to 12 fantasy points a game every year.
You kind of beat me to it. I like that, too. That was the guy I looked at, especially in Miami. We don't know what Kenyon Drake's going to give him yet, so Frank Gore could have a bigger role than he was expecting.
Right. True. And, they've got Tannehill's going to be the quarterback, and they've lost Landry, so they've got to figure out that offense. So they might rely more on the run game now.
Yep.
So, all right. So initial agreement is all McCoy, and then I said I think Jonathan Stewart might have the initial, and you guys both said Frank Gore. So I guess that's where we're at with going forward on those. Next one is going to be Robert. I'm going to say 1011 or 1011. If we butchered it either way, I covered both sides. So he says he asked, what's the expectations for Allen Robinson and the Bears offense as a whole? And his comment, he says he personally thinks that he sees him going 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. So I did look up that type of point total for wide receivers, and last year that would have put him as the wide receiver 7 in standard, just above, I think it was Man, I forget who I had. Anyways, long story short,
He's not going to be in the top.
Was that
10.
Julio?
it was Julio was the 6, and then I think Tyreek was the 7.
Okay.
So it was somewhere in between those guys. But still, that's a lofty expectation. I mean, more power to it if it happens, but
No, this is a wishful thinking Bears fan right here.
right.
Yes.
Well, we have agreed somewhere in that wide receiver 2 range. So that's what. See, wide receiver 2 would be somewhere from 13 to the 20s.
Yep.
So I think that's his range. I don't see him getting up into that wide receiver 1 talk unless they just light it up offensively. But I just have a hard time. I know that I figured that. What was his? Did you have the stats or whatever? Like what his average was minus the Pro Bowl year? He didn't eclipse those.
Yeah, there's the Pro Bowl year is the only year he was over the 1,000
And 10 touchdowns.
Yep. So he's right around 6 to 5 touchdowns, 700 to 800 yards.
Right.
Okay.
And their offensive line in Chicago is trash.
Right.
It's run first only. Jordan Howard
Yep.
gets the majority of the volume there.
Right, and it's going to be a West Coast style offense, which is going to be a lot of mobility with Trubisky rolling out of the pocket, a lot of bootlegs and things like that, and a lot of dump downs plays. I'm not saying that Allen Robinson's not going to get his points. I'm just saying I don't expect the 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns.
No, we're looking at like 750 to maybe 850
Yeah.
yards and 5 touchdowns roughly.
I was going to say 5 to 6, so I think that's where we're all in agreement. I think that's the high low for him. I just think that's a comfortable spot. So that's why we said wide receiver 2 is a comfortable range to put him in at the moment. So
He's just not guaranteed the touchdowns. That's the problem.
Right.
Well, and they also
Trubisky only threw 7
Yep.
all of last year.
yeah. So you got Taylor Gabriel is going to be there, so he's gonna require some sort of a lot of underneath catches, which he might benefit a lot because of the bootlegs and a lot of the short routes.
Burton.
You're going to have Inman, you're going to have
Adam
Shaheen,
yeah.
Tariq Cohen whenever he
Tariq
shows.
Cohen's going to probably benefit the most.
I'm just saying that's a lot of as you would say, a lot of hands to throw the ball to, and
A lot of mouths to feed.
a lot of mouths to feed,
A lot of hands.
a lot of hands to catch the ball. Anyways,
5 guys, 10 hands right there. Math.
you know what?
Give it.
I'll give it to him.
Boom. Knowledge.
There you go. All right. So, anyway, Robert 1011 or Robert 1011. I think we're all in agreement. Wide receiver 2 is a good spot to put him. I don't think he eclipses the 1,010 touchdowns. So, on to the next one. I'll let Blackburn handle this one because he had a pretty good point to make. Mir Frank's question says, "How do you picture the beast mode versus muscle hamster battle playing out on the Raiders team?" I think that's a pretty good. That's like a gladiator matchup. Beast mode versus muscle hamster.
I don't like muscle.
in the octagon.
That name sucks. Like, they could have came up with something better than muscle hamster.
Right. Well,
It's like a reject Ninja Turtles project or something. I'm just saying.
Splinter. There's your 90s movie quote right there.
Bam, gotta throw it in there.
Love it.
Anywho, yeah, I look at this to be like the Jay Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount for the Eagles last year, where Martin is going to get most of the work between the 20s, and then Lynch is going to come in and clean up at the goal line. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. I mean,
I think we all agree that it's going to be Lynch's job to lose, but eventually it's going to happen at some point. And Muscle Hamster or Doug Martin eventually is going to see more volume, I guess you could say. Yes?
yep.
I'm still thinking of the Ninja Turtle reject.
You know what? It happens, so.
Like Doug Martin covered in ooze, you know.
Man, Ninja Turtles 2. All right.
Or 4.
Or 4 or 3, whichever. All right. Next one, we got Bearded Champ 4. He puts out, who are some of your good later round picks at the running back position? And I think Trimboli, you'd printed off a couple of these guys and
I think
with some good points.
Our consensus was Jerick McKinnon. You can get him in the 7th.
That's a good one.
And
I
then,
like that a lot.
Then the real sleeper is Marlon Mack here. You can get in the 12th. So
And as long as they don't draft what?
Oh, we don't have it?
What? Oh. No, poopers. I do not have it available. I apologize.
he had one job.
Return of the Mac once again. Okay, we're good.
Got it in.
Got it in there. Okay. Yeah, 12th round. I mean, and if they don't take a running back, I agree
That
with
would
you.
be a steal.
I do believe, like we'd said, I do believe that McKinnon and Max ADP does move up significantly.
Right.
I think McKinnon, I think by the time the draft or even season starts, I would be surprised if McKinnon's ADP is not in the 5th round. Honestly, he's going to be, for everything that they're talking about being the bulk running back in that offense, He's a catching running back. He's not just a running back. I mean, he can catch the ball in the backfield, so that's going to be good for that offense.
PPR nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
So 5th round, I think, is going to be where he's going to finally kind of settle by the time the drafts really start showing up. And then Marlon Mack, as long as they do not bring in a veteran or draft one of these
High profile, yeah.
Right.
Barkley guys.
They'll probably take somebody, but later on, like day 2 or day 3.
Right. If they do that, I think Marlon Mack still keeps the being the ball carrier, and I think that his ADP is going to probably be maybe where McKinnon is, maybe that 7th, 8th round. I think that's a comfortable spot for him to land.
Well, I don't think they would have let Frank Gore walk if they
Right.
thought that he was going to be the guy.
Right. Or if they think that they're going to get somebody in the draft. But either way, I still think Marlon Mack, unless, like we said, they draft one of these high-profile running backs in the 1st round, I think that Marlon Mack's going to be the guy, day 1 starter, and that to me is at least a 7th, 8th round worth pick. So.
You know what? Don't also sleep on Rex Burkhead. There's
No.
always a New England
like
running back that comes out of left field that becomes a starter. That
And he
takes
was doing
over.
pretty well by the end of the year. I mean, it was him and Deion Lewis and James White once they got in the playoffs, but that's James White. James White becomes
Right.
the guy when they go to the playoffs.
Well, I downed him last year, Rex
Right.
Burkhead, at the beginning of the season. I said it was
Yep.
a stupid move.
Yeah.
And then I eat my words at the end of the year. I mean, Rex Burkhead was blowing it up.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, you had the volume of what you saw in Cincinnati, and he was going to a crowded backfield, kind of like what you got. What team did we just talk about?
Arizona?
No, Miami potentially
Miami,
having
okay.
a crowded one, and it worked out. And last year, Philadelphia, it
Kansas
worked
City.
out. Kansas City, there you go.
That's what it was, yep.
Kansas City having a bigger group of running backs. I mean, it can work, but you just got to be able to find a spot for everybody. And
Well, they're not really a committee, though. I mean, Hunt's the guy.
Hunt's the guy, but I mean, I think you had talked about it. There's been reports that they're going to try to alleviate some of the volume out of Hunt's pocket just to kind of keep him for season-long purposes.
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't think Andy Reid plays fantasy football, so he doesn't care that it might hurt his draft stock for us. But
Me and Andy might have a talk if Hunt ends up on my team.
might have to give a call to Sharkander and get him
I'll
on.
have to meet with him at Gold Corral.
Yep.
What? I'm just saying.
I know, it just hit me funny because I'm picturing Andy Reid walking up to the Golden Corral line and
Just him in the buffets.
just
Everybody moves out of the way.
yeah. Part.
Anyhow.
Anyways, all right, on to the next one. Last one we've got for the questions segment is going to be Tanner. Now, this one actually came in through email. Tanner wrote, Landry, he's asking, is he going to be over or under the 99.5 receptions, which is funny because it's like a half reception.
Yeah.
So is that like he catches it one-handed? Is that like a half reception? But either way, we'll just say, do you think he's under 100 receptions? Yes or no? Essentially what his question is. So what did you have?
I put no. I said there's going to be too many mouths to feed there.
Or too many hands to catch the ball?
There we go. Math. I mean, that's what it is. Yeah,
1, 2.
with Coleman, Gordon, and Njoku, Duke Johnson. I mean, there's too many mouths to feed there. He's not going to be able to get all the volume that he did in Miami.
Now, I put him as over, and I think when I say over, I don't mean like he's going to be like 120, 130. I just think he's comfortably, I think, in that 100 to 110 for me.
So
But
not 101.5.
not 101.5.
No one-handed catches for him?
No, I'll give you 100.
It was a challengeable play.
I'll give it 100.5 to 110.5. How about that? That's the window. But anyways, I think just because, and I think with what you said, I think he is going to be on a talented team, and I think they're going to potentially be, even though they're talented, I still think they're going to be behind at times in some of these games, which means they're going to have to throw the ball a lot, which means receptions. And he showed in Miami that he can play with crappy quarterbacks and crappy O-lines.
So if 0.5 is a one-handed catch, would OBJ's three-finger catch be a 0.3? I'm just asking.
Sure, I'll give you the 0.3 on that. 0.3 fantasy points. I lost by 0.3 fantasy points because OBJ caught the ball like this.
Yes.
There you go. Anyways,
Hey, people might want to know this.
they might want to know. You know what? If
Another
you play,
reason why I'm not drafting OBJ.
you know what? In our listener league this year, we're going to offer 0.3 points for those three-finger catches and 0.5 for those one-handed catches.
There it is.
We'll make
Perfect.
it on top of just the 1 point perception.
Should go the other way around.
So it's
Two-handed
one-
catches should be less than those three-finger catches. Come on.
0.1 for a regular catch. Well, anyways. All right. That's all we got for the...
No, I'm going to break the tie here.
Oh, I forgot. No,
I'm
I knew his answer. I thought he answered.
No, I'm going under.
All right, what do you got?
It'll be in the 90s, but it won't eclipse the 99.5.
You don't think he eclipses the
No.
99.5? You're
I don't
thinking
think so
he's
either.
under the 99.5.
Yep.
All right.
I agree with Blackburn. There's just too many mouths to feed on that offense right now.
Man, I am on my own island on some of these, but it's all right. Boat. I like the space, the leg room. I'm a boat. No problem.
Listen, you don't join in on the water with us. You have to always. It's always different.
You got water.
I don't have the water.
Yeah.
I don't have the shirt. I am on my own island. None of you have passes. Goodbye. All right, let's go ahead. And we got our next segment for the day, or final, I should say, final segment of the day, not the next. We only have 3 for the day. Next segment and final segment of the day is going to be the blind comparisons versus ADP presented by Fantasy Fate Ball.
Blind comparison versus ADP.
Our blind comparison segment is presented by Fantasy Fate Ball. Fantasy Fate Ball is the one and only Magic 8 Ball for fantasy football. It has 20 custom answers to help you make those critical start-sit decisions. In the Sunday morning agony, head over to fantasyfateball.com. Use promo code HATEFUL8 for $5 off.
Woo! There we go.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it. All right, I got to adjust my seat. Awkward. Don't worry about it, folks. I'm okay. All right, so we got some blind comparisons versus the ADP to kind of match up. So when you take the names away and you just essentially what you're looking at is, just the stats and the raw numbers, data, whatever you want to call it. It kind of enlightens people and kind of changes people's perspective when you take the name away, and you might select somebody that you did not expect to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to take that guy because the numbers are better, obviously. Then you see the ADP, and you're like, oh, that'd be a steal. Then you see the name, and you're like, holy cow, I would have never drafted that guy in a million years.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
all right. Now, just to give it kind of a general, just don't you have one that kind of like an example. So to kind of give, no, did you throw that one away? Don't worry about it. We got it. We're good.
Got it just over here.
Don't worry about it. All right. So essentially, what we're looking at, you're going to have QB. I'll do the quarterback, or I did the quarterbacks. You did the running backs,
Yep.
and you did the wide receivers. So that way, we're looking at. Oh, do you have it?
Yeah.
No, that's
Is that it?
the current one.
It's the current one.
Oh, okay.
Do I not have it?
It's my bull.
That's my. Jeez.
You have it too. We all-
Anyways, all right. Well, we all have it. Never mind.
Cool.
Anyway, so on to that. So quarterbacks, to start that off, I've got 2 quarterbacks that I put. I took stats from 2016, 2017, and they both played 32 games. So both have the same game time amount. Their records doesn't really matter in my opinion. Now, completion percentage, 61.5% versus 63 versus A versus B. Not that big of a deal in my opinion. I mean, it is good, but it's not like that's not a deal breaker for me. Now, when you put it up this way, for passing yards, 8,901 passing yards for QBA versus QBB who had 8,202. So obviously less, 700 yards less, or 699 yards. But anyways, touchdowns, 61 passing touchdowns for QBA versus 55 for QBB. Interceptions, 31 for QBA versus QBB is going to be 22. So not horrible, but I mean, the numbers are all pretty well matched up overall. Now, where it kind of changes and kind of balances out a little bit for QBB to come back into the fold of worth, in my opinion, is you've got QBA, not much of a runner, 33 rushing yards, no touchdowns. And you got the rushing yards for QBB is 845 with 4 rushing touchdowns. So I think that evens the playing field for passing touchdowns from QBA, balances out for QBB for passing and rushing touchdowns. Now, current ADP for QBA is not 9th round, 2nd pick, where QBB is going 4th round, 6th pick. And essentially, I will just tell you QBB is currently being drafted right around QB3, QB4 overall. Like behind, it's not Rodgers, and it's not Watson, and it's not Breeze, and these guys that are in that range. So he's right around 4.
Can I guess who it is?
Which one? You want QBA or QBB? Okay, initially, who would you just by numbers alone, would you pick? I guess is the best way I would put it.
B.
Yeah. There's
Just because of the rushing yards and touchdown. I mean,
right.
it's
Yeah, and then I look at the turnovers.
Right.
There's less turnovers too. So
Right.
Right, and I think so. Is B Russell Wilson?
It is Russell Wilson at B. See, look at that. This guy over here.
I already knew.
I know, whatever. Anyways, all right. And QBA, anybody want to take a guess at this one?
I already know. So good.
Matt Stafford.
No. He's at the tail end of his career.
It's a
though.
guy that we say nobody
year.
ever drafts high, but he
Oh,
always.
Phillip Rivers.
Yep, but he always finishes
So
in that top
God,
6.
you look at the stats; they are pretty even. I mean, there's not like a big jump from like Russell Wilson's stats are blowing Phillip Rivers' stats out of the water by any means. You're not looking at that. I mean, you see the numbers, you're like, Well, yeah, for the first little bit, you see QBA is kind of taking the lead because of the passing yards, the touchdowns. The interceptions does bring him back down a little bit, but then you look at QBB, which is Russell Wilson, you see he adds in the rushing yards and the touchdowns.
Right.
To me, what it tells me is you can essentially get the same quality of play from Phillip Rivers in the 9th round versus taking a quarterback in the 4th round at Russell Wilson when the gap is not that big.
Right. You could take a running back or receiver in that 4th round.
And I guess my thing is Russell Wilson also had multiple passing threats the last 2 years where he's not currently got big name guys this year.
Just Dougie B.
Yep. Dougie B's going to be a big one. No Jimmy Graham. Richardson's gone.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's just a lot of – I mean, the threats that were successful for him the last couple of years are gone. So, I'm just saying when you're going to your fantasy draft, when you look at this, Phillip Rivers still has all the talent that he has had the past 2 years. So, I'm just pointing that – I'm not saying take Phillip Rivers in the 9th round and discredit taking, like, Russell Wilson in the 5th or 6th. I'm just saying be mindful of this production is from the last 2 years when he had these key players. He's lost those players. And the offense is still going to be a lot of, hold your breath because the O-line is going to fall down on a consistent basis. So, just saying.
It just shows the gap from the top guys to the second tier, if you want to call them
right,
guys, is not that huge.
No, and that's the thing we've said with quarterbacks. Unless you're getting like a Rodgers or somebody like
the top 3 guys.
It's really the gap kind of closes for quarterbacks very quickly.
I'll tell you what, the gap in the wide receiver 2 range, it's huge. I mean, there's a bunch of guys everywhere.
Oh, just wait.
Oh, it gets good. Don't worry. All right. What do you who do you have well, I got your stats here. So go ahead with your guy.
You want me to go?
Yeah, go for it. We'll do that.
All right. Well, I had wide receivers. So we'll start with both this is for 2016, 2017. Both wide receivers played 31 games. Wide receiver A had 2,322 yards and 17 touchdowns.
Okay.
Wide receiver B, 2,031 yards and 13 touchdowns.
Ooh.
So not that big a difference.
Right.
4 touchdowns.
I mean, you're looking at
And
maybe
200
20
yards.
points.
Yeah.
So 20 points for the yards and what's 4? So 4 times 6 is what, 24?
We're talking about 50 points.
Essentially 50 points.
Okay. The wide receiver A's ADP, 2.8.
Wow.
Wide receiver B, 8.1.
50 points between 2nd and 8th round over the last 2 years. The current ADP.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, are both the wide receivers A and B have they played for the same team in that span?
Yes, and they're both number 1 wide receivers for their teams.
Ooh, man, this could be good. 8th round. I'm really trying to search who's the 8th round wide receiver at this point.
Well, the second round guy still got me for a loop.
2nd round wide receiver. 2nd 08.
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
He kind of had an off year last year.
Allen Robinson?
No.
Okay.
Evans?
Yes, Mike Evans is 2.8.
Ooh. Uh-oh. You might be killing a couple people's
Yeah.
like mock drafts
I'm
and
just
stuff.
saying. And then 8.1, Marvin Jones.
Wow. Yeah. Well,
Mind blown.
yeah, that's
I am just wow.
When I compared the two, I looked at him and I was like, "Are you serious? It's only like 50 points difference, and 2.8 can get you another stud running back."
And you know what? I should have known that because I'm always harping on Stafford because he throws the ball a ton. Well, there you go. It's proof right there.
Wow. I mean,
So you can get 50 points less if you draft a receiver in the 8th and take another running back or so in the 2nd.
over a 2-year span, you've got a guy who is being drafted as one of the top 3 or 4 wide receivers.
Last year, Mike Evans was my first-round draft pick at number 8.
Then you end up being my second wide receiver.
Right.
Wow. That
Thanks for Mark Ingram, by the way. I appreciate that.
man, I'm
My
just,
team was stacked and I still lost.
I'm just mind blown that that's
Yeah, I
50
thought-
points over 2 years is
Right.
what we're looking at.
For Mike Evans to Marvin Jones, 50 points that's the only difference.
Wow.
Crazy.
It is very much so. All right. So what do we have for the running back player comparison? I think this might be a good one as well. I'm interested to see who the players are as well.
I just wanted to get an ADP that had like some distance between them. So, anyways, player A here has 379 attempts. He had 1,800 yards, 1,807. He had 9 touchdowns. He had 128 receptions, 946 yards, and 4 TDs. He played 42 games for a total of 2,753 yards and 13 touchdowns. His ADP is in the 7th round. Player B had 2,332 yards, 10 touchdowns through rushing. He had 58 receptions, 399 yards, and 1 touchdown. He played 38 games in that span. He had 2,731 yards and 11 TDs. His ADP is in the 3rd round.
So pretty even.
Yeah.
Wow. Ooh.
So are we guessing?
I think so. No. We talk about all 3 of these guys. We didn't talk about this off air though. That both these guys have played on the same team.
No, they have not played on the same team.
No,
these are.
When I mean same team, I mean like they individually have played on their respective teams for
No,
the past 3 years.
They have not
So they've changed teams.
recently. Yep,
One or both?
both.
Oh, jeez, that's even crazy.
No, one. I'm sorry, one of them has.
Oh, okay.
I apologize.
Just so I know, which one
B.
has?
B.
Has recently changed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ooh, man. Oh my, this is gonna be bad. Oh no.
And they both sort of split.
Split their carries.
Yep.
Or they split their backfield.
Yep.
Oh man. I am stumped
I
on
have
this.
no clue.
I'm stumped on this. Okay, can you give us a little bit more of a hint, or would another hint give it away?
Just reveal it.
You know what? It's up to you.
All right.
You can give us another
Which
hint.
one would you pick?
I would pick.
Man.
Honestly, I would pick A because I'm looking at the rushing touchdowns. It's only 1 less, and it's 3 more receiving touchdowns.
I mean, the yardage overall surpass the player B. So I would say just by numbers alone, you're looking at player A plus the 7th round ADP right now.
Right.
Yep.
That's
right.
perfect.
So player B is Jay.
Ooh, interesting.
There's what's crazy. We had him all the way up. Was it last year? He was
I drafted him number 9 overall.
okay. Bilal Powell is my other one.
Wow.
Currently, Bilal Powell's running back 32, and Jay is your 19th.
I'm done for the week. I'm done. This is too
Bilal
much.
Powell and Jay Ajayi and Marvin Jones and Mike Evans. That's value.
Wow, that is crazy. I mean, when you take the names away, you see what you're getting.
Oh yeah, because if you looked at name alone, I guarantee you,
Jay Ajayi.
90% of people would take Jay Ajayi.
Well, yeah,
And that's the thing. That's all they're waiting on him is his name.
right.
And Bilal Powell's rushing numbers aren't off the chart, but it's his reception yardage at almost 1,000 over those 3-year span, which is crazy.
And 3 more touchdowns.
Yep.
So what I was going to tell you is Matt, Matt Spencer, our IT web developer, the guy who's kind of the head honcho of the draft loadout that's coming out this year. See, that was a plug. He put in there. He said his comparison. He just wanted to throw out a comparison. Now, I'll put. You've got 2 wide receivers.
Okay.
Now, they're both going wide receiver 8 versus wide receiver 9 right now in ADPs. Now, when I say 8 versus 9, I mean like they're being drafted. It was the wide receiver 8, wide receiver 9 overall.
Okay.
In drafts, current mock drafts, 3-year span for the player number 1. He's played in 59 games, 237 receptions, 2,008 receiving we'll just say 2,800 receiving yards, 26 receiving touchdowns. Okay. Player number 2 has played 61 games, so 2-game difference, not a big gap. I mean, to what you're getting ready to hear. 309 receptions, 4,579 receiving yards, and 32 receiving touchdowns. Now, I will tell you, they're going 8 and 9. Player 1 is going player 8, wide receiver 8, or not wide receiver 8. They're going 8th player overall, draft-wise.
How many years again?
3 years, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. So 4 years. 4-year span. And currently they're being drafted. Player 1 is being drafted as the overall 8th player. And he's a wide receiver, obviously. And player overall number 9 pick in ADP right now is player number 2. And they're literally
both wide receivers?
Both wide receiver, back-to-back picks in ADPs right now. So one's 108, one's 109. And you see the difference in the gap.
Yep.
I will tell you, wide receiver 1 just became the sole wide receiver in a pass-happy offense. Wide receiver 2 is coming off of a lackluster year in 2017.
Mike Evans is too.
Mm-hmm.
This
wide receiver, first wide receiver, is getting ready to be the guy now. He's officially the guy in this pass-happy offense because the previous wide receiver 1 is no longer on the team. He was cut and or traded or cut. I'll even give you one.
Wait,
it's a good one.
it can't be. Is it not the situation? It can't be Hearns, is it?
No, it's not
I was
Hearns.
gonna say, there's no way.
No, it's not Hearns. Not Hearns. I'm just saying. I'll put it this way: his quarterback is one of the top 3 quarterbacks for wide receiver
it's
one.
Devontae Adams.
Yep.
Yep.
So Devontae Adams is being drafted number 1.08 overall, and he's got 2,800 career receiving yards with 237 receiving receptions, 26 receiving touchdowns in a 4-year span. Mike Evans, who is being drafted right behind him at 109, 4,500 receiving yards, 300 receptions, and 32 receiving touchdowns. I'm just saying, if you take the name away, you're shocked to hear where people are being drafted right now.
Well, if it was up to me, I would take Devontae Adams over Mike Evans anyway right now.
I think
Just me.
Well, no, I agree with you. I think what we're looking at right now is the what if for Devontae Adams, the ceiling of he is now the guy. There's no Jordy Nelson, so he is going to get a lot of the volume. Where we're coming off of a 2017 season for Mike Evans, where he's been, let's be honest, below his average or his par. So I think that's affecting. A lot of people are skipping out on Mike Evans right now. I'm looking at an ADP. A lot of guys are passing him up because it's in their mind still the same offense and it's the same style. And are we really going to see a better Mike Evans? I mean, I'll just let you know, Mike Evans was on the same offense in 2016 when he blew it up that he was on last year in 2017.
Oh, I know.
It's all Jameis Winston, though.
It's the
Right.
Jameis Winston effect. Either he's going to be lights out or he's going to knock the lights out with his throw
Yeah,
quality.
It's the same, just like the listener question from earlier. That's what T.Y. Hilton's problem is. His Luck is back and healthy, he's up there. But now that Luck's out and he's hurt, T.Y.'s struggling.
Yeah, I'm just saying these blind comparisons really do justify taking. I don't want to say like throwing darts at covering your eyes, throw the darts at the draft board, but I mean, I'm just saying when you look at it, this really shows you not to draft on names alone.
Yeah, right.
You really have to look at the body of work, the production over the last couple of years, and what situation they're going into. I mean, Mike Evans' name. Let's just say Mike Evans gets. You've got Devontae Adams. I think his production is going to go up, obviously, because he is the guy. The volume's there. You know that's going to happen. Mike Evans, it's kind of a 50-50. You've seen the high with Winston. You've seen the low with Winston. So I think that's where the uncertainty is. But just
Plus,
based on – no, go ahead.
I was going to say, with Tampa Bay, too, I mean, there's a lot more. They got Deshaun Jackson, Humphreys, Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard. Where in Green Bay, they essentially got Devontae Adams and Jimmy Graham.
True. I mean, they've got the stable of running backs back
They
there.
got Geronimo Allison and a couple other receivers, but it's going to be Devontae Adams.
Well, yeah. So I think that's why people are putting him at the 8th overall pick versus Evans at 9. I'm just saying you look at, to me, when you put him up against, you're like, well, why is number 8 going to be there? If you looked at just the names alone, you'd sit there and you're like, well, why is wide receiver 1 going to be why is he at the overall 8th pick right now versus the second wide receiver who's going at 9th overall? But when you hear why, you're like, oh, well, now that makes sense.
Right.
But I'm just saying that puts in the variables of things.
Yeah.
But if I don't know. I just think that was a pretty cool one that he found as
Yeah.
well. I'm
I'll tell you what.
I'm impressed with all of these.
From doing this, you can see the guys that jump real big one year and then they fall back. And then there's just the consistent guys.
Yep.
True.
And that's actually, to tell you the truth, when you're drafting later, that's what you want. Just get that consistency. You know what you're going to get out of him. Might not be he doesn't have a huge ceiling, but if he's going to definitely a plug-and-play guy,
Yeah.
it's better than, swinging and missing.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's just what we're looking at. So later rounds, you're wanting somebody who's going to be able to be a plug-and-play guy on any given moment, any given week. You're not looking for a guy to start every week. You're looking for
Right.
guys that on bye weeks or injury purposes, you can just plug him in and say, okay, I'm set my roster. I know he's going to be okay. He's going to get me 7 to 10 points or whatever the case may be. I know he's going to at least get me, his floor is 5 to 6, but his ceiling could be up to 12.
Yep.
I mean, how many weeks were there were guys that we were like, he blows up for 1 week and he has like a 12-point game and then you just see him disappear into the darkness again and you're just like, you don't hear about him anymore.
Amari Cooper.
Right. But
Yep.
that's a whole other question in itself. But all right, you guys got anything else before we exit out stage? Is it stage left or right?
Well, be left for us.
It's right for me.
I say right, left or right, stage right. Anyway, all right. Just want to tell you guys thanks again for all of you tuning into today's show. And especially thank you to the viewers on YouTube, getting us over 1,000 views.
That's awesome.
Man,
That was huge.
that is a big
Thank you very much.
Claps to all of you. So, but we want to mention, make sure you subscribe and
Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah.
I'm going to see. I don't know. I'm saying somewhere right in this region. I could be wrong. If it isn't, please find one that says
Probably
subscribe.
going to be like right over here.
Okay, so hit the button, hit subscribe, hit that thumbs up, thumbs down, whichever you want. It don't matter. We appreciate positive or negative feedback. But, yeah, so make sure you check out the page, thehateful8ff.com. Check out the articles, apparel, and eventually the draft loadout for 2018 will be in there, which is a big one. So, you got something?
Yeah, one last thing. Just because we haven't hit on this yet, and it needs to be brought out
Yeah.
there. So we did the mock draft.
Yes.
We put up our teams.
Yes.
Everyone voted.
Yes.
Pickles team here won.
Yes.
Kudos to you. And unfortunately, Blackburn,
Not so much.
you fell a little short. So in the upcoming weeks, we will have Blackburn in a...
In his is it Sleeping Beauty? Is that what we decided on? I can't remember.
Either that or Cinderella. I forget.
One or the other. Either
Whatever
way,
it is,
they're
I'm
great.
going to rock it and look
Rock it out.
fabulous.
So,
He's got. We were talking about it. He's got like the
Yeah.
manly grizzly bear beard. He's gonna be rocking that princess, whether it's Sleeping Beauty or Cinderella. It's gonna be good.
just in time with
Enjoy.
all those viewers now.
Right.
Perfect.
That's fine.
So, all right. Also, follow our personal accounts at jpickleTH8FF, at jblackburn TH8FF, and at ftrimTH8FF. Don't forget, as we said, join the Average Joe Nation via our Patreon account, where you can sign up and pre-order that 2018 draft loadout, which is going to be packed full of information and helpfulness, not just for the draft, but throughout the season as well. Which is included, as well as, like I said, the weekly in-season help, which is going to be good for you guys. So we will tend to your weekly fantasy football help needs.
Absolutely.
So thanks again. And you got anything before we go?
Nope, just thanks for supporting us as we continue to grow.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
One more time. There ain't no one like these three. You know you just heard Pickle, Blackburn, and Trimboli. Give the goods talking about nothing but fantasy football. Yeah, it's your year to dominate and to wear that ring. Prepare for the draft and dial in on your craft. Quarterback, the first round is a good choice, you ask? This guy's got first round pick, a favorite? Not so fast. He failed to tune into Hateful Eight. He's a chump finishing